Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Love Harmony. Thank you so much for stopping by. If it's your first time here, and if you're a returning viewer, you are awesome. Today, I want to share a perspective that completely changed the way I see people and it changed the way I see myself. And honestly, it's really helped me heal. So I feel like this is a pretty important message to share. This video is about how to stop judging other people. I will also make a separate video about how to stop judging yourself because there's a lot of overlap. It's kind of all coming from the same thing. But for now, I just want to focus on others. Instead of just telling you to stop judging, which we all know that doesn't really work. Anytime someone says, oh, just stop thinking about X, I always get a little weary because I'm like, that doesn't work. So I want to offer you something deeper. I want to offer you a way of seeing that can shift your mindset the moment that you catch yourself judging someone. Here's the idea. When you find yourself judging someone, whether it's how they talk, how they walk, how they dress, what they look like, how intelligent they are, I want you to take a pause. And instead of labeling it as a judgment, I want you to view it as a mirror. Because often, the parts of others that we are so quick to judge, especially in negative ways, these are direct reflections of what we value in ourselves or what we believe gives us our own self-worth and ultimately what gives other people their self-worth. So let me give you a few real life examples to bring this idea to life. Let's say you're talking to someone and they're speaking very slowly. Maybe they don't have a very large vocabulary, and you find yourself thinking, wow, this person does not seem very bright. We've all had a moment like that, I'm sure. I know I have. But here's what I want you to consider. That judgment is not really about them. The person is simply living their own human experience. Their intelligence or your perceived lack of it has no impact on you unless you allow it to by judging it. What's really happening is that your mind is reflecting back to you what you personally value. In this case, intelligence. You might pride yourself on being smart or articulate, and you subconsciously believe that this is what makes someone worthy of respect or love, and more importantly, that someone is you. So when you encounter someone who doesn't reflect that value back to you, this judgment appears, in which case it is just a mirror. Here's another example. Let's say you're walking down the street and you see a woman on the other side of the road. She's overweight. She's out there walking. She's trying to get some exercise. And maybe you have this intrusive thought that comes through that pops into your mind. Wow, that woman is huge. Again, this judgment is not about her. It is a reflection of how much you personally value either being fit, being thin, or being healthy in general. This might be something you work hard to maintain in your life. You might even be struggling with weight yourself, or it might be something that society has conditioned you to associate with value and attractiveness, which is so clearly an issue in our world. In both of these cases, the person that you're judging hasn't actually done any harm to you whatsoever. So your reaction is just showing what you've been taught to associate with worthiness, whether it was from your parents, from society, from your own life experiences. When you judge someone negatively, you basically see the opposite of what you value, and that is what triggers the judgment. On the flip side, when you judge someone in a positive way, like, oh, that woman is so beautiful, I wish I was that beautiful, the mirror is showing you directly where your values lie and what makes you feel worthy. So hopefully now you can start to see the mirror. Every single judgment that comes through, in particular the negative judgments, it is because you value usually the opposite of that negative judgment. This is why I always say the goal is not to suppress your judgments. We are not going to get to a point where we're like, you know what? I'm just going to stop judging people today. And then you just miraculously stop judging people. It's deeper than that. This is a pattern that you have to first understand. So the irony with this is that once you understand your judgments and where they are coming from, they begin to dissolve altogether. It's honestly crazy. And this is what happened to me. I used to judge people a lot, especially when I was younger and I had no self-esteem. I had terrible self-esteem growing up, honestly, until just a few years ago was when I actually started healing my self-esteem. I think it was almost like an OCD thing with my judgment of people because I'd feel awful for the things that I would think about people. And once I started putting this awareness to it, this awareness of the mirror into my human experience, my judgments actually became less and less and less. Because once you truly understand that every judgment you make is a reflection of you, it starts to soften this pattern. You begin to shift from reaction when you're in certain situations where you might be judging people, and you begin to shift into this awareness. And eventually, those automatic judgments begin to dissolve. Now, I'll be honest, these days, I very rarely find myself judging others, but when I do, I've noticed it usually happens in emotionally charged situations, especially when I feel threatened. For example, in a few of my past relationships, I really struggled with jealousy and feeling unworthy. I didn't feel emotionally safe as I have had a pattern of attracting men in the past who are not entirely faithful, whether they cheated on me or they were unfaithful in other, maybe smaller ways. But as a result, I found myself judging women that I thought my partner might be attracted to, or partners might be attracted to, or I knew that they were attracted to. So I would subconsciously look for something in these other women to criticize, to make myself feel superior. Looking back, I realized that these judgments, they had nothing to do with these women. It had everything to do with my own unhealed wounds around self-worth, specifically, and also my need for safety in a relationship because I kept attracting these relationships where I felt unsafe. I'm almost certain now that this is connected to my relationship with my paternal parent. I'm almost certain. You see, somewhere deep down, I believed in those situations that I had to be the best to be worthy of love. I thought that if someone else was more attractive than me or more anything, that I could be replaced. So I judged first, basically as a defense mechanism. Now that this is very clearly in my awareness, it's something that I'm working on. And that is what I mean when I say that judgments are mirrors. In these cases, it was showing me that I didn't yet feel worthy unless I was the only woman that my partner wanted. It showed me exactly where I still need to heal. So the next time you catch yourself judging someone, please stop and ask yourself, what exactly am I judging them for? And what does that tell me about what I value? And here's the beautiful part. When you begin to shift your mindset in this way, two things happen. First, your compassion for others expands because you start to realize that we're all just reflections of each other. And second, you begin to stop judging yourself as well. Now, I'm going to do a second video that goes deeper into how to stop judging yourself. But this is a great start. If you can start bringing your awareness to when you are making judgments about others, it could also be judgments about situations as well. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It is a mirror. So I will go into this deeper, but you will begin to stop judging yourself if you start putting this into practice. Now, it takes time because basically you're unlearning this pattern that has been taught to you growing up. And if you've done any type of shadow work or self work, you know these things take time. It does not happen overnight. But I can tell you honestly, I went from judging people all the time when I was younger. In my teens, in my 20s, even in my early 30s, I was judging people like crazy. I had the most intrusive thoughts about how ugly people were, how overweight people were, too skinny people were. It was always just like really superficial bullshit, to be honest. And that was because back then my worth was in my physical appearance. And also in my intelligence. So I was always passing judgments about other people because my self-esteem it really needed work at that time. So I have a lot of compassion for myself at that point in my life because I had no idea where these thoughts were coming from. And now I understand them completely. So basically what happens, to wrap this up, is that you start to take ownership when you start putting this into practice. You become more accountable for your thoughts. And suddenly it's not about them anymore. It becomes about you. It's just you. You against you. And that is where the real growth begins. Thank you for listening truly. I hope this message was helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You know, how are your judgments of others? And if you've worked on it, what type of things helped you overcome judging others or judging yourself? I'm very curious. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world. And thank you for stopping in. I'm sending you so much love. Love, harmony.